Hey designers, welcome back to my channel Design with Pramod. Let's do designing together. I hope you guys might be knowing that Figma has recently released so many cool features, and let's try to see how that actually helping so many designers to speed up their work. All right, and without a delay, let's get started. Now we are into the tool and let's try to draw one frame first. This is our frame. All right, if I select this frame, if we go to the design section here, right, and under that we have this layout section. We had that auto layout before, and now they have actually updated their layout. All right, and if I go here and try to check, right, and they have added one section called flow here. All right, under that you have four different options there. This is like free form, all right, and this is like vertical, and this is like horizontal, and this is like grid. And this is still in beta, guys. They are trying to improvise this section again. All right, and we have all these sections here. All right, so width, height, and everything. Let me switch to the different options here. This is like our vertical section. If you see here, right, we have this alignment section, typical alignment sections what we had earlier. And again, if I go to this section here, right, horizontal wise, this has the same thing there. And if I go to this section, this is actually changing here. All right, and if you see this width and height, right, and this is like a grid here. And whenever we want to work with different types of resolutions, let's say responsive design, right, this is how this grid system is helping. You always design with your grid system first, and then you try to match with the different sizes like tablet, mobile, and web. Now we have activated that, and if you guys can see here, this has actually activated the light blue color thing here. And if I want to add the padding on it, right, I can add it. Let me add the padding to left and right, and that will be around 10 pixels. If you guys can see now, this has actually added the padding here, and this actually shows you like 10 pixel added to the left side and 10 pixel added to the right side. If you guys can see that grid system, right, that has actually added by default 2 by 2 columns and rows. All right, let me try to add the top and bottom padding. That is like 10 pixel now, and you guys can see that, right, this is how that grid system is activated. If I activate this frame, then I can see that. And if I activate that grid from this level, I don't have to specifically go and click that auto layout. We had to initially click on Shift A from our keyboard to activate that auto layout. But now if I click on this one or this one or this one, right, this actually activated the auto layout on this one. All right, and that is shortcut, I would say. And if you want to change the grid system from 2 by 2 to this level, right, you have so many options to play with it, and that is cool, guys. Let's say we want to create one design, and that I want to work with a 12 column grids, right. This is how you can define here. And let's say I have 12 column grids here, and that needs the minimum padding, gutter width, everything. That configuration you can do however you want. All right, and that is cool, guys. And if I add this one, right, this actually gives us the gap, like gutter width we used to call, right, the gap between the two columns, whatever we want to have. So we can actually change its padding, all right, between two columns, and this will be fixed always. And if I add some more columns here, let me add one more column here. You guys can see here, right, we have actually added three columns and two rows. Now we kind of understood how we can actually define the columns, how we can actually define the number of rows into this frame, right. Now let's try to understand where else we can actually use this one. And for that, let me try to create one input box first. That will be random input box what I'm creating. All right, that will not be having any structures defined to it. And let me do that. So let's try to have some placeholder text here like username. And what I'll do, I'll try to apply auto layout on this one. That will add the frame on this one. And let's try to add some border to this one. So that is last stroke. And let's try to add some header to this one, right? And this is our heading. And let's go and try to have here apply auto layout on this one too. And let's try to remove the padding. All right, that let's make that to 0 pixels bottom and top. And let's try to align these two, and let's try to apply auto layout on them. And let's try to left align. Now if you guys can see here, right, under the flow, this actually understood that alignment is from center vertical. All right, and if I want to change that to horizontal, right, these items are actually horizontally coming, but right now I'm not focusing on alignments and all, and I'm just trying to show you guys how we can actually work with it. All right, and how it actually applies on grid system. And when we go to the random one, I can keep my items here and there. Initially I had that issue, right? I can actually change under this one only. And if you guys can see here, right, you can actually freely move your items here and there. If you want to pack it under one item itself, right, you can pack it. Either if you want to freely move the items wherever you want under that itself, right, you can actually do it. Now it is very cool, right? Depends on the designer's preferences. He can actually change the placement of elements into his frame. Believe me, initially that was very difficult to manage your things here once that auto layout is applied on any kind of item. And let's go to alignment, and this is our grid system. All right, and this is our one input box. All right, and let's try to increase this frame size, and let's try to remove the auto layout from that one, and let me go to that size here. And what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create one form with multiple input boxes. I'll show you guys how quickly or how you can actually make this perfect. All right, let's try to make the colors black, like username and our placeholder text too. And let's try to draw one frame now. I'll be drawing one frame. Let me activate grid on this frame. All right, we have the grid activated on this one. And now if you guys can see, right, some blue, light blue color lines are coming here. That means it is activated with grid system. And now let's try to drag and drop our input box, and let's try to resize this one till here. And you guys can see that, right? And let me do that duplication again. If you guys can see that magic, right, it is actually taking its grid placement. It is actually duplicating the items here. All right, you guys can see that, right? And what I'll do quickly, I'll try to increase the columns here. And now we have by default 2 by 2 columns activated. And let me increase that to one more column. If you guys can see that, right, whatever elements we have kept in the grid system, those all are responsive now, and those all are behaving with respective column levels. Let me do that again. Now we have 3 columns. Let me increase one more column, and you will see that magic. See, you can see that first and second column, right, both are actually responding with respect to the grid systems only, because you have made only one single input box as a responsive input box, and now those inputs boxes are actually behaving with respect to each columns. All right, and if I want to speed up my things, right, I'll do just duplication. You guys can see that, right, all the elements we duplicated with that quick duplicate button. That's it, and that is magical, right? Imagine this is our one form where we want to have so many input elements. So just create one perfect input box and try to hit duplicate button. So many items will be duplicated for you, and there are different ways of creating it, because initially we had the difficulties to manage them into one under packed elements, and we had to manually adjust those placements of each and every input boxes. Now it is very easy, guys. And if we stretch this down, you guys can see that, right, it is actually increasing its complete placement. And if I horizontally increase the width, right, all the input box sizes are actually behaving with respect to the columns. And that's it, guys. That is all about our latest update from Figma, and hope you guys learned something great today. If you do, hit the like button and share with the learners.